Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Gibson Flying V. I purchased it from Sweetwater, so they already opened up the box from Gibson. They already did their 55-point check or whatever it is. It's not a setup, it's just a check. So hopefully they didn't change too much stuff around or anything at all. I really want to see what this looks like directly from Gibson. The price was, I forget, it was that much, and I purchased it in July 2022, this month. So let's go ahead and open the box, we'll take a look at it, and we'll see what's wrong with it. All right, so I already took it out of the big, giant Sweetwater box, and this is what remains. We have some goofy paperwork from Sweetwater, like the catalog and thank you from John Hopkins, President and CEO. So I recently purchased a Gibson Les Paul, one of the 60s ones, a brand new one. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it over here in the corner if you want to see what I thought about that guitar. Long story short, it left a bad taste in my mouth about Gibson, which I was kind of expecting. I've been a guitar repair guy for since 2003. The vast majority of guitars that came in were always Gibson, and it was always the same issues. Just basically the guitars were falling apart, especially the neck joint. And not from damage either, just from normal wear and tear. All right, here's our Gibson Flying V in the case. Let's get the camera on this side and we'll take a closer look at it. All right, I'm always impressed with the case quality on these. They're just, these latches are like buttery smooth, right? I really enjoy opening these cases. Here's our Gibson Flying V. Jeff C. is the first inspector from Sweetwater, and Ben B. is the final inspector, serial number 2146200072, and it certifies that my new instrument has passed the 55-point thing. This is the 55-point inspection, but they basically just check to make sure that the shipping and handling was okay from Gibson. They actually do inspect and polish the body. They check the fingerboard surface, neck and neck joint, strings, plastic parts, all the little parts, and each part is another point. So it's 55 points. They do tune it to pitch, they do polish the instrument, they do play it to make sure that it's intonated, and they check tuning machines, they check the electronics, and so on. So they're not going to do any small repairs that Gibson may have let go from the factory. All right, we'll take a walk slowly this way so you guys can see some details on it. Maybe you can pick them up before I do. Got a, looks like an Indian rosewood fingerboard. Looks like it's actually oiled. Looks like it's oiled quite heavily. That may have been Sweetwater. And we have a peg head. All right. The case is fine. It's pink, like soft pink plush. Well, here, I'll grab the case candy out and we'll get rid of the case. All right, so we got the leather strap. We've got a black toggle knob, which we can install right now. It's a plastic thing. They don't ship it with and on there because they probably break a lot. It even came with this little protective thing on top of there. This is probably a key for the case. Yep. Here's the Gibson multi-tool manual. It teaches you how to become an expert guitar player overnight. Microfiber cloth. The pre-packed checklist from, I cannot read this guy's name. The date is 6/16/2022, so last month. Guitar's only a little over a month old. Has the model number, serial number, and here's the picture from Gibson. They take a picture of the guitar at the setup bench. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So before I did anything, the first thing I noticed was the finish. Now, Gibson are known for having like the worst finishes, especially at this price point, and I can right away notice how terrible it is. Let me show you what I mean. So take a look at the reflection of the light. Look at that. It's like waves in the ocean. These things are supposed to be sanded flat, and I mean, there's just some terrible stuff in there. Let's go in a little bit closer and see what we find. All right, so throughout the guitar you can see buff marks and everything. If we move the camera and allow the, I mean, this is amateur. Look at this. So keep your eye on this reflection here. Look at all those dips and pits. And these things, this is African mahogany wood. They have to porfill it, and the only reason I know it's African mahogany is because when I called Gibson and asked them what species of mahogany do they use genuine mahogany or do they use African mahogany, which is half the price, they said we're not allowed to disclose that information. So right away it told me, okay, that's African mahogany. If anybody that works at Gibson or used to work at Gibson can confirm or deny that, let me know. It's kind of difficult to tell a difference between African mahogany and genuine Honduras mahogany. One way that you can tell is that African mahogany has little bits of like waviness to it, like ribbons almost, and even a little bit of figure. Now Honduras mahogany, it'd be like 1 in 1,000 to find a piece of Honduras that looks like this. Honduras is much more straight grained, and it's actually much redder than this too. All right, so enough nitpicking about the finish and all that stuff. We get it, it's Gibson, it's pretty much amateur work. So we're gonna move our way up the neck. I notice, what is that? Some kind of scratches right there. The rest of the fingerboard, just looking at it quickly, looks okay. We're going to take a closer look at the frets, of course. Now, guys, I'm not nitpicking, right? Finish makes or breaks a guitar. I mean, I'm a luthier, and that's how it is. When you look at a brand new $2,000 guitar, or whatever this cost, you know, you would expect something better than this, right? I don't expect everybody in the comments to agree with me. Am I being picky? Not really, not with the finish. Finish is the first thing you see, right? I mean, that finish on the headstock looks okay. There's buff marks and stuff, but that's all. This is nitrocellulose. It's gonna off-gas. Let me get a closer look. I mean, they are pretty brutal buff marks, but what are you gonna do? It's not even level. Look at that. All right. Anyway, from far away, it looks pretty awesome, I would have to say. By the way, this color is called the Antique Natural. Let's take a look at the hardware. You can't really they don't build this, so they can't really mess it up. So this bridge, this is an aluminum tune-o-matic, and it has the aluminum stop bar tailpiece as well. We don't really have to look too close at those. One thing that we can look for, so when installing a tune-o-matic bridge, the trickiest part is staying in focus. The trickiest part is to get these holes evenly spaced and perfect, right? What we can look at is very close to see if see what happens is if you drill it wrong, you have to plug it with a dowel and then re-drill. And we should be able to see if they had to dowel these. I would highly doubt it because these are made on a CNC machine and these things are drilled by CNC machine. So it's very likely that they're fine. I'm looking at it now. I don't see any dowels. Looking closely here, I don't see any problems with those tune-o-matic holes. So here we have the black top hats with silver reflectors. We have 2 volumes and 1 tone. This is our output jack right here on the front. And this is our 3-way toggle. These are burst bucker pickups. There's a few little scratches here on the pickup ring. I'm not concerned about stuff like that. What I am concerned about is during construction, how much time they actually took. I want to check out this area right in here and see how they sanded it. All right. It looks like, it's hard to say. I'm not going to call it a burn mark or anything like that from the sander, but there's definitely something funny going on right there. That could be the wood, although nothing else on the guitar resembles that. All right, so we've got some finish problems there for sure. All right, so keep your eye on this reflection right here. And I promise this is the last time we're gonna make fun of the finish here. Here we go. All right, so you can see that the way that the finish just like, it actually bubbled right there. I could feel it with my finger. I don't want to scratch on it because I'm afraid it'll come apart, but for a brand new guitar, you see that? And it's right on the front too. It's like a big, ugly, like bubble or something. And whatever. I wasn't expecting too much, but I mean, for this price point, you know, whatever. I'm picky with finishes. It's not easy to make finishes. However, Gibson cuts corners. So before you start writing hate comments and everything, let me just explain to you why I'm really picky about finishes, especially nitrocellulose. Gibson, they spray their guitars, they spray it heavy with nitrocellulose, they sand it, and then they buff it. Like, they don't give it any cure time. Nitrocellulose is an organic lacquer. It needs time to off-gas. And when it off-gasses, it gives it a chance to fill in all these little pores and these little imperfections, and then they sand it, they scuff sand it, they spray it again. It should have multiple layers. I don't know how many layers are here, but it ain't a lot. And the layers that are here are very heavy and they're not off-gas correctly. And all they're doing is sanding them out, buffing them out, and shipping them out the door. Yeah, they're a huge company. They need to make production. The thing is, they don't care. It says Gibson. People buy it because they think it's great because it says Gibson. But in reality, we look at them up close and you can get an Epiphone for 1/3 of the price, probably better. That's just a finish. Let's look at the frets. All right, first thing, when I run my fingers along the edges here, I don't feel any rough frets. There's a few right here, but I mean, I probably couldn't do any better. That's not bad at all. The frets surprised me. Looking closely at these frets, there's minimal scratch marks. They're not highly polished, but they're also not scratched real bad. Like the Gibson Les Paul that I purchased, it was terrible. It had, you know, big gouges and scratch marks. I mean, this has them too, I guess. It is a Plek machine here, but you know, I can't really see anything that would set me off as far as being real bad. Maybe in the camera you guys can see it better with the lens I'm using, but as far as I can tell, I got no complaints. I don't feel anything funny in there. I think the frets are actually fine. Not bad. Not shiny. Not great, but not bad. All right, let's flip this thing over and we'll take a look. Oh, all right. Okay, I promised I wouldn't make fun of the finish anymore, so we won't. But I can mention, and you guys are probably going to want to know, right here where the fretboard and the neck meet, it's not only visibly bad. All right, I got to show it. I'll show it to you. Right here, it needs to be sanded and buffed out. It needs to be scuff sanded, sprayed a couple more times, or even drop filled. It's such a big pit there. Look at this. This is not acceptable. So I feel like a whiny little baby here with all the problems, but you guys have to see this. This is not cool. Look at this. All right, I'm just gonna rotate the guitar up. Can you see it? Look at the transition between the fretboard and the neck. What is that? All that? Look at that. It's like, you see the reflection, it's just like, there's like a pit there. I've never, I mean, even on lower end, cheaper guitar, look at that. That needs to be sprayed, scuff sand, sprayed, drop filled, sanded again, and then buffed out again. We have the little chip on the nut there, the finished chip, but that's normal. Let's see the other side. I didn't even get a chance to get that far. This side is just as bad. All right, I'm done messing with the finish. We all know it's terrible. All right, let's see how far I get this time. I made it this far the first time. All right. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, we've got African mahogany for sure. It's got like, I don't know if you can tell on the camera from that angle, but it's got little bits of figure in it going this way. Mahogany neck. The neck joint looks fine. Looks fine. The glue joints here where they glue the wings on, very good job. I don't see any problems there. That's fine, right? But that's the easy part, you know. They put it in a CNC machine, they press a button, and it spits out a guitar. It does it the same way every time. I can tell that the finish, okay, the last comment about the finish, I can tell just by looking at the Made in USA stamp on the back and the serial number, you can see they just caked it on there. And then probably sanded it 3 times. I don't know how many times they sand it before buffing it and how many coats they do, but there's definitely big globby. Okay, let's take a closer look at these tuners. They look okay. Just checking to see if they're straight, and they certainly look straight. They are straight, so that's good. These are Grover tuners, by the way. Grover tuners are fine. I like Grovers. I like Godo tuners personally. That's what I use on my custom guitars, is Godo. These are like the kidney bean knob. They're fine. Not bad. Let me take a look at that peg head veneer. I think there's another finish flaw. I'm not gonna show it. I don't think that's ebony peg head veneer. I think it's just, looks like paint, which is the cheaper but fine way, I guess. The nut itself looks like it's cut well. A little deep, but they blast through these things, you know, hundreds a day. If you are interested in knowing how a nut should be cut, definitely check out my other Gibson video, the Les Paul video, and I explain in detail how deep they should all be. They still play, it's fine. I could easily fix this, take all the strings out, sand it down to where it's supposed to be, and it'll be fine. Looking at the fretboard at the light behind me here, I do see some scratches, but not as bad as the Les Paul. They're just not highly polished frets. Don't expect perfection when you buy a Gibson, especially with the fretwork or especially the finish. Here we have relief in the neck on the low E. Oh yeah, there it is, okay. There's a little bit, that's good. Seems like it has a little bit of relief in the neck. There's a piece of fuzz right there. The setup looks good. Setup looks pretty decent. All right, I want to quickly take the pick guard up and just take a look at the electronics. All right, let's see what it looks like under there. Oh yeah, cool. It's got the braided from the pickups. The wire, the soldering looks somewhat clean. Shiny solders, even though this one's sloppy, it's still shiny, so that's good. Yeah, it's great. Here's a close-up view in case you're interested in seeing what that looks like. All right, let's go see how it sounds. Start recording, there we go. All right, so first of all, I tuned this thing down to a B, and just because I've been playing a lot of songs in B recently, so therefore it buzzes a little bit. Let me move the microphone down to the strings, and then you'll be able to hear it. Okay. Right there. Especially the B string, but just the B. Now, I'm not going to ding Gibson for that because I tuned it from an E down to a B. When I played this thing in E, the way it came, there was no buzzing at all. So it's perfectly fine. Yeah, it actually plays very well. There's buzz again on the low. I have to change the strings. I want to put like 12s on this. This is, I think it comes with 10 to 46s. Might be wrong. I don't know. But either way, it's that smaller, shorter Gibson scale length that I'm still trying to get used to. I've been trying to play the Gibson Les Paul more, but it's just so uncomfortable to play because it's so heavy. It's like 10 pounds. And I play guitar like this, so on my left leg, so that Gibson, that little tiny, that curve in the Gibson Les Paul, it just digs in after a little while, and I just hang it back up and I grab the Klesh over there. So that's pretty much how that goes. Because I have the Klesh tuned to a B, I have the Les Paul tuned to a B as well. Now I have this tuned to a B. Pinch harmonics are easy to get. It's mostly player, it's my fault. I can't catch them every single time. Yeah, it plays fine. Please don't mind the terrible guitar playing. But anyway, that's the Gibson Flying V. You can get them on Sweetwater. You can get them on Gibson right now. And it's not terrible, right? It's not like the Gibson Les Paul review where it was like, at the end of the show, I was like, it's pretty terrible. This one ain't bad. It's a lot lighter. I'm used to V-shaped guitars, so it's no problem for me. I'm already kind of used to it. For some other people, if you're used to playing a Strat style guitar, it might piss you off because it keeps like sliding on you and stuff. But you kind of you do get used to them, and they're a lot of fun. It's very light. You know, I never owned a Gibson Flying V before, and one thing I did not expect, except for my friend Jason, who actually purchased one of these and talked me into buying this thing and the Les Paul and a couple other guitars here. He said it's super light. So I was like, all right, so I was expecting it. But if I wasn't expecting it, I would have expected a much heavier, like physically heavier guitar. But this is actually pretty decent. There's a lot of other options out there as far as I know. Don't take my word for it. Go look at other YouTubers, other guitar review people. See what they have to say about other options, right? So like an Epiphone or a Solar, you know, Ola. His company, they make a V. It's not like this. It's not shaped like a Gibson Flying V, but it's still a V guitar, and they're much better. They're at a better price point, and from what I understand, they're also a better quality. So, anyway, I hope this review wasn't too mean to Gibson. I was coming into it expecting the finish to be terrible, and it is. And this is pissing me off looking at this. I mean, this is what you look at when you're playing guitar. I'm looking at the side markers, and I can see all the pits and everything. You know, so every time I play this guitar until I fix it, that's what I'm going to see. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. Let me know your experience with Gibson. Let us know some other options. What's better? What's a better price point, right? Epiphone, I heard they're really good. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.